Internet, good morning. My name is Magnitude, and welcome to the WBE draft analysis for the Milwaukee Sawsbucks this past weekend. On a drive stream, we had the draft stream, so you got to see all 16 teams and what Pokemon they drafted. And now, if you're on this channel watching this video, that means you're watching me, myself, and I. Was that a good movie, Me, Myself, and Irene? I don't know. It gets referenced a lot, but I don't know if it was all that good and worth references. I don't know. Anyway, you'll be seeing my analysis on what not really my analysis, more the reason why I drafted what I drafted. And I guess it's hard to analyze something that I did that doesn't really have a result yet. Just the picks that I made. I'm not really analyzing them, just kind of telling you them. There's nothing really to analyze. I guess you could analyze how I picked them, the attitude I was in when I picked them, the headspace that I was in when I picked them, the aggressiveness that I typed out what I was taking. I guess you can analyze that, but let's just get into the Pokemon that I picked. So the first pick, I picked COPPERAJAH. Now, I was the 16th pick, which means I was 16 and 17, so I had a wheel, and so I didn't really. It's tough to have a draft strategy in a new meta when you are the last pick of a round. So I had to sort of see what was being taken over the course of the draft, and when it got to me, I realized I gotta kind of pair some things up because I get 2 picks every 32 picks. So I gotta pick what I want, and then I gotta wait 32 more picks, and then I can get 2 more of this. So I need to kind of pick pairings of things that I think will work well together. And again, this is a new meta. It's 8th gen, it's a new meta. I don't know if the decisions I'm making are going to be the right decisions, so I have to make them I have to make them as informative as possible. Of course, I have to make them regardless, Steve. I had like a thought and I stopped 80% of the way through. I took GMAX COPPERAJAH, and I did this because I'm going to pair them with something. I'm pretty much going to be picking 2 Mons at once, so it's going to be going over both of them, and I'm pairing it with Mimikyu. And Mimikyu is going to pair with COPPERAJAH because it's Ghost type. So it takes COPPERAJAH's fighting type moves. And I think it's one of the best GMAX stoppers in the game because it's got that disguise. So it's almost never, ever gonna die from a hit. So it doesn't matter, how boosted they are. I'll be taking 1/8 of what I normally would take. So I can come in on a GMAX Mon that's getting super charged up, and I can do things to it that other Pokemon might not be able to do with my disguise. So it's a fairy type as well, so it does give me 2 physically offensive Mons, but it also sets me up where after my first 2 picks, I'm thinking, I could maybe just run a Trick Room team here. I think Trick Room is going to be something that I'm interested in, so I might be drafting more around Trick Room. I'll see what happens as the other 32 picks go by. When it got back to my pick for the 3rd pick, there were not very many S-tier Mons left, and I did not like what was left. I legitimately said, I don't want any of the S-tier Mons at this point. I don't think any of them really fit my team. There was like Conkeldurr was left. I already have physical attackers. I don't want them. But I finally settled on GOTHITELLE. GOTHITELLE, the best trapper, one of the only trappers really left in the meta, and I think GOTHITELLE is useful for a couple reasons. 1, it's got access to that Trick Room again, and 2, I could potentially trap something that, if I get a super bulky defensive GOTHITELLE, obviously, you don't need me to tell you how GOTHITELLE can trap things and what it can do when it traps them, right? You get Calm Minds up, you got other setup stuff up, but GOTHITELLE can trap things, and it can really make life difficult for Mons, especially in a kind of a quicker paced meta like this with a timer that it has to be. I can trap Mons, and I can really ruin some people's strategies if they're not allowed to make the moves that they want and make the shifts that they want over the course of the game. Then I got to pair that GOTHITELLE with Vaporeon. And Vaporeon is useful for, a couple reasons. 1, it's another special attacker, albeit not like primarily used as an offensive weapon, but it has a lot of special capabilities that COPPERAJAH and Mimikyu obviously do not. It's able to pass a high HP Wish, which I think is going to be helpful with the likes of maybe getting COPPERAJAH in there with as much HP as possible, and you get GOTHITELLE able to trap things that can live a little bit longer. But it provides me some certain utility that I think, especially with a Trick Room team, it would be nice to have, because sometimes in order to get a Trick Room up, you have to take a hit. So maybe Vaporeon can get a Wish up, go into the Mon that needs to set up a Trick Room, take a hit, get all that Wish HP back, get a Trick Room up and stuff like that. So Vaporeon was less of a Doesn't really fit the model of what I'm looking for my team, but it's able to support what I want to be doing with my team. So I think it's able to sit nicely where it is. Also, it stops Dracofish Facial Rend with, water absorb. So I am kind of getting up there with the. So right now I'm immune to normal, fighting, and water type moves. So I'm trying to, pile up on the immunity, stop really one thing from ruining my day. And now that means I have another 32 picks before I get to my 5th and 6th pick of the draft. Pick number 5 and number 80 overall in this draft is APPLETUN. I'm not gonna lie, the 8th gen bias was here with this pick. I noticed I picked only one 8th gen mon, and this is an 8th gen draft. If you know anything about me, I'm all about looks, baby. As you can tell by how well I keep myself on the outside, I'm a superficial being who cares exclusively about what something looks like and not at all about the actual value it possesses. You can take that as sarcastically as you wish based on my track record in draft games. I'm not even sure how much I believe that or how much I don't believe that. That's how ingrained to this character that I am. But APPLETUN has a few things that I like. One, it still gives me another Trick Room offensive mon, and it's got some fun, interesting little moves that I like its typing because there's no hidden powers left. So in order for it to be hit 4 times, a mon just can't slap hidden power ice on itself and start hurting me offensively. It has to come from ice beams. There's a limited amount of ice Pokemon in this format. I got Vaporeon's not an ice type, but it's a water type, but it's got a high special attack ice beam. So there's not really that many other ice types that are left. I mean, you have absolutely the Darmanitan without a doubt. You got Askew, Frostmoth, and then that's really all I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there's some more, Mr. Rhyme, but there's not really, Vanilluxe. There's not really that many ice types that really run around, making APPLETUN a bit of a safer pick. It's slower and it's got a high propensity for offense, so it can fit right into that Trick Room mold. It's got some interesting defensive options as well. So it can leech seed, and it can slow down a game if necessary. If something's getting out of hand and you're starting to set up, or I can kind of bring an APPLETUN to sort of slow things down and to make things a little frustrating for my opponent. So I really like what APPLETUN does. It also helps take pressure off of it helps take pressure off Vaporeon, because it'll allow, or flip that. Vaporeon can take pressure off of it, because if I'm weak to ice, I have an immediate kind of ice answer in Vaporeon. So I like them defensively. They kind of cover each other nicely, and this thing, Vaporeon also takes this thing's fire weakness, so they kind of complement each other nicely, and I like that a lot. And that's going to now foray us into the next pick, the wheel, which is SANDACONDA. We are going full Trick Room now. On this point in the draft stream, I noticed that Dan and Joey were talking about how I don't really have the necessary speed tiers to kind of keep up. No, they weren't really saying that, but they're mentioning how my team is a bit slower, and I'm thinking, yes, I'm drafting a Trick Room team. We're going to Trick Room team. Trick Room, Trick Room, Trick Room. Trick Room is what I'm trying to do here. And SANDACONDA offers some interesting options as well. I like a lot of these new HN mon. It's got Sand Spit, so I can create a Sandstorm at any time. They're talking about, are there any Sand Rushers left? I'm like, I'm not using Sandstorm at all for Sand Rush. I'm using it for kind of 3 reasons. One, it makes COPPERAJAH more especially bulky in the Sandstorm because it's a Steel type, so it gives that 50% special attack boost. So, let's see Mystical Fire from a Hatterene take me out in the sand, Just things like that. 2, because I'm running a Trick Room team, there are some mons that because I'm running a Trick Room team, my setup options are less limited because I'm not going to be wanting to set up in Trick Room and waste those on Trick Room. So I'm going to need to get damage on mons in creative ways. One of those ways is Sand Spit, and it'll allow me to kind of take out, certain mons can bring up weather with certain Dynamax moves, but I don't need to do any of that to kind of cancel out a majority of the weather. Obviously I can't cancel out other Sandstorms, but I can get rid of the rain, the sun, the hail if necessary, by just going into SANDACONDA and it taking a physical hit. So I like that a lot because I can really disrupt some people's weather plans with just bringing a Pokemon in. And I like that a lot. Obviously, it's no Tyranitar or Hippowdon, but it's also slow and got Body Press, so I can run a slow Coil Set, and then Body Press can go off of my defense, which is my highest stat. I don't even need to worry about my attack stat when I'm doing that. So SANDACONDA, other great options. Trick Room can be slow and can hit pretty hard and has interesting utility options that I think can be useful in later games. So that's going to now have me wait another 32 picks before we get to our next two. The final 4 picks are my C tier picks. I'm now living exclusively in the C tier, and now I'm filling holes of what I might need to get to support the rest of the team. So that's why HITMONTOP is here. HITMONTOP has a few fun things that I like, especially in this format. One, it's got access to Intimidate, which against Dynamax Mon, it really allows me to come in and slow down a physically attacking Dynamax Mon. And with HN being primarily physical attackers, I think having HITMONTOP in there to slow things down when things are getting a little hairy, I think that's a nice option for me to have. I got some priority moves with HITMONTOP, and I have Rapid Spin. So get rid of those hazards. So really HITMONTOP, kind of the ultimate utility tool for this team, gonna help, and help things like Mimikyu. I don't take any hazard damage, and again, it'll help against physically offensive mons, Intimidate. Or I could even run a physical offensive set, and with the Trick Room, and just come out with a high jump kick that is banded. No one will see that coming. So that'll be an option that I have. And then so to pair that, I'm gonna go with actually ACCELGOR, and the exact opposite of a Trick Room team. So when I realized at this point, I kind of have a solid Trick Room squad of mons that I got 7 mons that kind of fit a Trick Room role. I need to deviate away from that to make my team a bit more difficult to prepare for. So the first thing I did was, I'm gonna grab ACCELGOR. ACCELGOR is so goddamn fast that I have now two very extreme speed tiers, which means somebody previously who might not have needed to run a Choice Scarf on their fast mon to revenge kill ACCELGOR may now need to do that, limiting its ability to become a bulky mon. 2, with Throat Spray and Unburden, ACCELGOR becomes an absolute animal. He's a beast. He is. He's insanely fast. He has access to things like Final Gambit, which could be very useful, especially in a slow metagame like this, to deal immediate damage to a mon. And because the metagame is so slow, I don't need to really ever run max speed in ACCELGOR. I can put more into my HP, thereby doing more damage with Final Gambit. I'm not going to need to worry about, a lot of mons having anywhere close to the speed ACCELGOR has, so it's going to give me options like that. I got Water Shuriken, so priority move. It's got a nice special attack with Bug Buzz and mostly with Bug Buzz. I'm sure it's a Water Shuriken. It's got a lot of solid physical, especially attacking options that it's going to add another element to my team. That's going to mean I have 2 more picks left. I have 32 mons to get there, and I actually, at this point, I had an idea of what 2 mons I wanted, and I just kind of hoped that they fell to me because they really would help round out my team if they did. And the first one did. I wanted to get an electric type, and I wanted to get a mon with Manectric's base speed, with somewhere in that 90 to 100 base speed range, and I got Manectric right in the middle with that 95 base speed. So now with Manectric being there, it is going to force players to play to a speed tier that also has to take into consideration Manectric. So now I have mons like, I got Mimikyu with 90, Manectric with 95, to kind of just bump it up a little bit. I got a shitload of mons slower, and I got a mon like ACCELGOR that's faster. So now I kind of have a little bit of room to kind of spread out my offensive options and make opponents prepare for something like Manectric if they want to outspeed it. And Manectric, of course, its job is pretty simple. It's electric immunity, it's got Volt Switch, and it's got Psychic Fangs, another option. So I don't need to run Break HITMONTOP to break screens. I can run Manectric Psychic Fangs to break screens as well if I don't want to bring HITMONTOP that week. Just a utility option. That's going to lead to the final pick of the draft, and that is Charizard. I think Joey was saying, did someone snipe Ninetales? Why Charizard? The team's so weak at Charizard, he just drafted, so he wouldn't have to face it? Partially true. My team, I needed a fire type. There's a lot of steel types running around. I needed a fire type. And Charizard also not weak to ground, which is nice. It helps take the pressure off COPPERAJAH in that regard. With the boots, I don't really need to fear Stealth Rock all that much, and his speed tier, again, fitting right in that sweet spot. So now I have mons that could run outside of a Trick Room team rather effectively within this metagame, and I don't have to worry about needing Trick Room to succeed and to outspeed things on our Trick Room. I have mons like Charizard and Manectric now that can do that organically, and of course I have ACCELGOR that can come in, pretty much revenge kill almost everything because it outspeeds like the entire world. So that is my team. That is the Sawsbucks squad this year. I think for the first time in a while, I'm actually very happy with my team. I drafted, after my first 2 picks, I was kind of committed to the Trick Room idea. I think I got some solid Trick Room options and Trick Room helpers with GOTHITELLE, and I'm gonna like SANDACONDA in Trick Room. I'm gonna like that. And I think ACCELGOR is gonna do more than people think. I think CHARIZARD is gonna do more than people think. I could always run COPPERAJAH with Heat Crash and then get Solar Power Charizard in there and, you know, just start running people over. It's possible. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Subscribe for more if you like the video that I made and you want to see more. Obviously do that. Leave a like if you did enjoy. They already said subscribe for more. You know, make sure to just stick around if you want to. I'm excited for the season. Hope you guys are too. And I'll see each and one of you next time. Goodbye.